on that point right there is that one of the things that we've done is you can't house all those capacities within one organization. So we reach out strategically to organizations in our community that has not only the relationship, the trust of that particular grower community. In our case, it's Southeast Asian, so we have Hmong and Mien families in our community. So we have strategic partners that provide that function for us. They actually go out to farm visits with us. They help break down some of those barriers. They do the interpretation. If we need resources, they can do the translation for us, whether it be written or verbal. So, I mean, you know, a hub can't be everything, but you can align strategically, and oftentimes that fulfills their mission or their deliverables just through that partnership.
So Penny and Mr. Newman. Go ahead, Penny.
Tony, I don't know if I'm asking it correctly, but do you think with the costs that the growers have to make on their small-scale production that your business, that ALBA Organics, can be a viable business, not counting the education, or how does it go together with the larger growers that you also represent in making it a business that could break even? How does that work?
That's right. I understand it.
Okay, I'm guessing.
Can we be successful as a business and not a nonprofit?
Can you pay the bigger farmer the same as the
No, that wasn't what I was asking so much. I was recognizing that the smaller grower has higher operating costs and needs to charge a little higher. You need to pay them a little higher than perhaps you're paying the bigger grower. Can your system work this out that ALBA Organics can stay in business, or how much percent of grant funding do you need to be able to do this?
The last couple of years, I don't believe we really used any grant funding to function that way, to break even. And the way that is, the way we've worked that scenario there, is that the smaller farmers who are starting out, because we deal with different buyers, and some will pay more than others, especially if you're delivering it direct to their stores. That's where we kind of offset it. And if you're buying from more established farmers, it's in more volume, so that allows for a lesser price, and so that's kind of how it's structured. The smaller growers, we can, because it's small volume, we can send it into the higher paying markets, and they get that extra $1 or $2 in the beginning. Again, we're scaling these growers up to larger acreage, which means that their level of production is higher, which means that they can afford to take $1 less or $2. So that's why they do need to grow, keep growing, even if it's a little bit at a time, so that it makes it viable for their business, because they can't stay at ½ an acre and survive forever. So the more acreage they have, the more volume they're producing, they can afford to do a few more things. Their cost comes down.
So I'll take one more question here, and then we'll discuss what we do just before lunch. Go ahead.
The question I had was with regard to compliancy. So you have really small scale farmers, like you're on ½ an acre and you have to certify organic, and your cost, your return on your cost for that is exorbitant compared to a larger one. Can you talk a little bit about how you address food safety compliancy with the different scale of farmers that you have?
Yes, and that's something that we're currently working on. The organic certification is handled through our training program. It's an umbrella certificate that covers everyone within our farm, and that's monitored through our program. So that's how we stay compliant to that. The food safety part, we're currently working on a global GAP certification, and we're trying to figure out what's the best approach going to be. And that's all coming through training and whatnot, and the need to, but you know, in 3 years we're all going to need to have a food safety certificate. So it's part of the training. You know, if you want to be in business, this is what you're going to have to do. And so we're just factoring that into the cost of goods and into the growing part of it, because it'll be a factored line. Don't know if I answered your question.
Well, not really.
So here's the deal. We have on our agenda to do a roundtable intro for each of you, so you have kind of 30 seconds to, well, about 30